Miki and Dali is one of those shows where every episode you feel the need to check your fire alarm because you're not sure if that really happened or if you're just high off the fumes.
There was a carbon monoxide leak in the dome.
The setting starts off so realistic, so grounded. An orphan gets adopted by two seemingly normal older parents, who for some reason can't have kids of their own, but are bursting to the brim with love. A normal enough story, right? But then the rest of the episode happens, and then...
Why isn't it possible? It's just not. Why not, you stupid bastard?
And this is basically the rest of the show. Just a sick game it plays by itself of how far we could take this. Literally, some stuff in the show physically hurt me to watch. Whether it hit emotionally or logically or both or neither, this show did stuff to my mind I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. So, why are we talking about it then? Because I love it so much. Guys, it's so good. I loved it so much I literally binged it in a single night. I couldn't walk away. Every single episode was just so insane I needed to know how it ended. But the funny thing is that the mystery wasn't the thing that kept me going. The mystery was psychotic, enthralling, horrifying, but, and this is just my personal opinion, it was also stupid. Is that a ghost? Which is by design. These two are children, not detectives. They aren't supposed to be good at solving a murder case. No, what kept me so interested was the characters, and slowly realizing what the show is trying to relate to us through the twin protagonists, Migi and Dali. The concept of identity and where it comes from. Is it determined at birth, or is it something you choose for yourself? Is it something you single-mindedly chase after, forsaking everything that doesn't fit inside your perfect vision? Or is it something you can only attain after exploring the world and making mistakes? Only one way to find out. The story starts off simple enough. A kind elderly couple decides that they want to have a child. They couldn't have kids of their own, so they decided to adopt one. Despite having so much love in their heart, they can only afford to take home one child. As they spend time with the children, one of them starts to take center stage, the perfect child named Hitori. He is polite, gentle, and helps those in need. They take him home and they all have a happy ending. A tale as old as time, right? I know that we're starting really early, but here's the very first insane thing they want you to just accept. Miki and Dolly absolutely need to be adopted by these two so they can go back into town and investigate the murder of their mother from 7 years ago. So what they decide to do is not only to pretend to be one person, but also have the couple focus on them by facilitating air quote random events to paint them as their perfect child. All I'm gonna say is that you have to be a special kind of stupid to fall for this. And one more thing before we move on, and far be it from me to bully orphans, but this is exactly why your parents left you, Bobby. You have no initiative. These kids conned these two idiots right in front of you, and you didn't do jack about it. If you want a family, you're gonna have to be a little bit more cutthroat than that, Billy. Anyway, once they're adopted, they do all sorts of nonsense to ensure that they are seen as the perfect child. They always ask for seconds, they do the 99-hit combo on their new dad's back, they help their new mom bake pies. Genuinely very mundane things that do not require two people, but they choose to do anyway. These kinds of things give me so much anxiety, honestly. Stories where the main character keeps doing crazier and crazier things just to keep up with their lives. I realize that they will never get caught, and that's why it's funny, but my soul isn't built for this kind of stuff, I guess. Moving on. All that good stuff they do is a lie, a ruse. They only do it to maintain their image. That way it'll be easier to investigate, somehow. So they can find the person who murdered their mother. She did it. What's up? She did it. How do you know that? Look at her, dude. She did it. They'll find whoever did it at any cost, to avenge their mother and fulfill their purpose. That is the only reason they are still alive. Or at least that's what they thought. Meet Migi. He and his brother, with their powers combined, form the ultimate Megazord Hitori. When the story starts, he and his brother are of two bodies but one mind. And by that I mean they are both bizarre, unsettling, and hilariously lacking in social skills. But as the story progresses, they begin to diverge into their own distinct personalities, and that transformation starts off earlier than you think. When I started the series, I thought it would be helpful to at least try to separate them in my mind, even if they were supposed to be identical. So I tried looking at their hair. Migi and Dali in Japanese both mean right and left respectively. So I kept track of them through looking at the part in their hair. Migi parted on the right, while Dali parted on the left. But as the show went on, I could basically tell them apart almost instantly. Dali felt bigger somehow. Migi felt malnourished. Dali had narrow, cunning eyes. Miki had rounder eyes, full of hope. They had already begun to grow apart, they just hadn't noticed it yet. Throughout the quote-unquote investigation, these two separate to cover more ground on multiple occasions. Dali, being the older twin by 2 minutes, gives orders while the younger sibling, Migi, follows them. During their brief time apart, Migi discovers that he has certain qualities that his twin lacks. He's an incredible actor. He can almost perfectly replicate the voices of other people. He's a quick thinker. In the heat of the moment, he's more likely to improvise. In some cases, he would prefer to improvise, if you know what I'm saying. He gets to experience the warmth of living a normal life, even if it is mostly on accident. Although, not immediately, he does begin to open up to people as himself, not as Hitori. And, most importantly, in stark contrast to his brother, he shows a capacity for forgiveness, which terrifies Dali. Not the fact that eventually Migi might not want revenge against their mother's killer, but the thought that him and his brother aren't on the same wavelength anymore. And this all comes to a head after Migi has his first crush. Migi falls head over heels for a beautiful girl in his school. He says that looking at her reminds him of looking at his mother, a phrase I am sure will come up in therapy. She tells him that she won't date anyone who doesn't pass all their classes, so he begins the Sigma male grind set. Is it still a grind set if he's doing it for a girl? Debate in the comments. He passes all his classes and gets his date, which is awesome. Then on said date, she tells him he will never see her again, which sucks. Then he sees her again like a week later, which is awesome. Then she tells him she's going on a date with one of the potential suspects in his murder investigation, which is awful. He then decides to crash said date to tell her how he feels, which is ill-advised. There he discovers that the girl he was in love with was actually his brother the whole time, which is officially too much. Miki breaks up with his girlfriend, brother, and runs away from home. Dolly tries to apologize, saying that he didn't mean to hurt Miki, but he had to for the sake of revenge. It is at this point that Miki realizes something. For the first time in his life, he doesn't want to do what his brother tells him to. He doesn't want to be locked in a cage with his brother, trying to live for a vengeance he doesn't care about anymore. He wants to be happy, to not be tied down to his brother anymore, to be free to go after the things he wants. He tells his brother that he doesn't care about revenge and that he's not going to be told what to do anymore because he is free. He runs off into the night, abandoning his quest for revenge in search of his true, authentic self. For the first time in his life, Dolly is all alone. With no one by his side, Dolly will soon realize that the only thing worse than living in a cage is living in one by yourself. Dolly is the other half of Hitori. If Migi is the creative, emotional side of Hitori, then Dolly is the logical, goal-oriented side. When he is with his brother, he takes on the role of caretaker. He is in charge, making plans, giving orders, and protecting his brother if he has to. But by himself, he is sorely lacking in any inherent drive or ambition. The only things he knows about himself is that he is Miki's brother and that he has to get revenge. When he is alone, he loses all sense of self. He still has to maintain his perfect image, but he has no idea how to do that on his own. He forces himself to eat enough food for 2 people until he literally vomits. He can only get up to 45 hits in the combo. He doesn't know how to braid a pie. And trying to double down on becoming a Hitori by himself, he almost kills his own brother trying to get revenge. The guilt leaves him bedridden until he finally confronts himself. In his darkest moment, he realizes that he is nothing without Miki, but Miki is a full person without him.
こいつは気が短い。おつむも小さいし、食い意地が張りすぎてる上、物覚えも悪い。人の言うことは聞かないのに、そのくせすぐ人に騙される。だから死ぬべきは僕だ。こんな当変木な右なのに、そんな右を失ったら僕は生きていけない。でも右なら復讐も僕のことも何もかも忘れて生きていける。
Notice how he chooses to phrase it as forget me. In Dolly's mind, he was just another burden for Miki to discard. When Miki tried to move on and live for himself, he showed Dolly that he had been tying his identity to revenge, that even if he had killed Eiji and avenged his mother, there would be nothing left for him afterwards. But Miki would have lived on even if he didn't get revenge. He would have found friends, family, maybe a girlfriend. He could find happiness where Dolly would just rot away. In Dolly's mind, there is no in-between. You either live your life as a ghost in service of the dead, or you abandon them entirely to pursue your own selfish goals. There was no choice in how he lived his life, because if he had given up on his quest for revenge, he wouldn't know who he is anymore. But that thinking is wrong, and Migi is the one to show it to him.
この自転車は初めての贈り物だ。僕やお母さんのことよりもそんなにその山家が大事か。裏切り者。裏切り者はどっちだ。勝手に一人で死のうとしやがって。いつの間に僕以外のやつに心開きやがって。一条家の満を暴いて金色の獣と散歩したり秋山と虫取りしたり。黙れ黙れ、もう言うな。それから老夫と僕とダリとでチェリーパイ食べるんだ。
Migi is trying to show Dolly that he doesn't have to chain himself to this idea of revenge in order to move on. Instead of forcing himself down this path towards this perfect ending, he could take a look at the new beginnings around him. Migi hasn't forgotten his old family, but he does want to protect his new one. Migi reaches out to Dolly to show him that there's a better life waiting for them, and Dolly takes his hand because he wants to believe that that's true. Together they go back to save their new family from evil in its truest form. Reiko Ichijo, the true antagonist of the show, although technically not the murderer, is evil. Morally, psychologically, philosophically evil. The very simple reason for that is because she has crushed her empathy in search of her idea of perfection. This is shown in various scenes throughout the show. She is shown shedding black tears while hysterically laughing. This is because her inner self realizes that she is destroying the people she cares about, but her outer self is still unwilling to accept that reality. Reiko lived her life trying to achieve the ideals that she wanted to live by, until a cruel twist of fate destroyed her dreams. After learning the truth about her body, she had a choice to make. Either accept her fate and find other ways to be happy, or change the story and tear down anyone who would try to stop her. She corrupts the lives of everyone in her life because she is unwilling to accept a life that isn't perfect. Her son wets his bed every night because he is terrified of sleeping in his room. Her daughter hates her to the point of betraying her at a moment's notice. Her husband is so mentally checked out that he doesn't even know how horrible his family's been living for over a literal decade. Her family suffers every day because of her obsession with perfection, and the worst part about her is that she doesn't care about that, about their suffering or even her own suffering. because she doesn't want to live a perfect life. She wants to be observed having the perfect life. All the awful things she does to her family and to her victims, she does to maintain her image from the outside looking in. When she discovers that someone knows her son's secret, when she starts keeping tabs on the neighborhood, when she starts killing people left and right, it is not for her son's benefit. It is all for her, because someone out there knows her life isn't perfect, and for that alone, they must die. That is no way to live your life. Looking over your shoulder, surrounded by enemies, her family hates her neighbors are scared of her, what few friends she had, she manipulated and discarded, all for a perfect life that only looks good from the outside. Sound familiar? That's exactly who Dolly was. He lied to and manipulated his brother. He tried to kill Eiji. At every turn, he chose to be selfish, to chase after what he wants, and to drag down anyone who got in the way of that. If things had gone differently, he could have ended up just like Reiko, alone and hateful. But what Dolly had that Reiko didn't was a brother that loved him. A brother that learned the warmth of real family and wanted to extend that to his real family. But he didn't learn that alone. I think it's time we go back to the beginning to re-meet some very important people. Osamu and Yoko Tsunohama are Migi and Dolly's adoptive parents. They are introduced as two regular people who just want to start a family. But Dolly doesn't believe them, because as the old saying goes, which is true. Throughout the show, every character is revealed to have a secret, and these two are no different. They both have terrible, horrific secrets. Secrets that rock me to my very core. Yoko wears a wig, and Osamu writes poetry. I know, I'm calling the cops right now. Yoko and Osamu's secret is that they don't have secrets. They are honest and genuine from the start, and only want what's best for Migi and Dali. When they finally discover Hitori is actually two people, they don't say anything. They keep it to themselves and gently let them know that no matter who their son, or sons in this case, are, that they are loved and that they are enough. This scene almost made me genuinely cry. Not only did they know that Miki and Dali were twins, they also discerned both of their individual personalities, likes, dislikes, even their favorite foods, without even speaking to them about it. These two are the best parents in anime history, which is not a high bar because most parents in anime are either absentee fathers or dead housewives. Dolly rejects them at first and tries to stay hidden, which is strange. They got their revenge, their family is safe, and they have no reason to keep hiding, but Dolly still wants Miki to keep playing Hitori. Even after being outed by the Sonoyamas, he still wants to stay in the shadows. Even knowing that there is no point in hiding, even knowing that he can't hide forever, he still doesn't want to take that first step towards his future, because under the mask of Hitori, Dolly is terrified of being by himself, of not being enough. Miki reaches out to him one more time to show him that he never was and he never will be. Not enough. You get it.
ダリー、やっぱり僕らは違うみたい。これから先どんどん違ってくるね。好きなものも嫌いなものも感じ方だって全然。だけど変わらないものもあるよ。僕の幸せがダリの幸せであるように、ダリの幸せが僕の幸せだ。
The Sonoyamas accept Migi and Dali for who they are. They don't force Migi to be someone he's not. They don't force Dali to accept them as his new parents. They let him come out when he's ready, because they want him to be comfortable being himself. They don't need either of them to be the perfect child, because they are enough as they are. The Sonoyamas, Migi and Dali included, aren't rich or smart or perfect, but they are good, and that's enough.
いつか俺が死んで母さんに会うことが許されるならその時は言うよ。無様で幸せな人生でしたって。
After the dust settles, Migi and Dali end up growing apart, but this time it's for the better. They pursue their identities as individuals. Migi becomes a talented artist. Dali goes off to a prestigious college. They really double down on this whole left brain, right brain thing they had going on, but that's okay, because at least they're not weirdos anymore. They mature into the truest versions of themselves, not the identity given to them at birth or the meticulous mask they put on to hide their feelings, but an authentic person with dreams that separate themselves from one another. They are not perfect people, but they are good people, and that is enough. Thanks for watching.